town, coming out of PE town. Gonna drink, find a shot, never mind your liver, get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle, have a Gino shot.
Gino's shot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle, get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Centrestage.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're not on stage yet, but we are. And welcome, Gino Spot. We're normally on a Tuesday. So tonight is an anomaly because I'm in Cape Town tomorrow. We're doing a show there for, I think it's much asphalt. We're going to be doing for the engineers and the civil engineers and stuff down there in Cape Town. I think it's at Arabella, if I'm not mistaken. It'll be great fun. But welcome to the show. Also, thank you to our sponsors for sponsoring Gino Spot 5 years, 5 whole years this year. And it's amazing that we managed to do it every single week. I don't think we possibly missed 1 or 2 weeks in that whole 5 years, which is great. And always somebody new and somebody interesting on the show. Our sponsors, Fitch and Leeds, as you can see there. We try to put quite big, try to get it into your head like reversing the Queen records or the Kiss records when we put it in subliminally. We put it in your head. Fitch and Leeds, thank you to them. They've been with us since the start, and so is Amobia, our internet provider. Nicola Smith and the guys from Amobia have been absolutely phenomenal, helping us with Gino Spot. PE East London, Grahamstown, Flippin' Eastern Cape, anywhere in the Eastern Cape, even Queenstown, which we love as well, and Fort Beaufort and Grahamstown. We've had people from all over. Even Lower Albany, we've had a lot of people from Lower Albany, which is quite nice. We get in with the community. This weekend we had the Seagull Regatta, talking about community events. The Seagull motors with a little, I've got a little one, and we took it for a race. Well, it's not a race, it's a regatta. They call it a regatta because we're not allowed to call it a race, because otherwise you'll get all sorts of people trying to race on the Crom River. We were there at St. Francis at the Crom River, and it was a fantastic event. Man, Dave Herr and the guys, tag Dave in this if you guys are watching, please. He did such a magnificent job there, getting all those seagulls out. I don't know how many there were. There must have been close on 100 seagulls out there doing a whole starting up, getting that two-stroke going, smoke everywhere, just fantastic fun. So also Fat Cat's catering as well. Fat Cat's also brings us food every now and again. Or I surprised her tonight with a Monday night, so she might bring around tomorrow. We'll see. Grace Erasmus, thank you so much, Grace, for sponsoring our food as well here. And of course, we have our Fitch and Leeds, which we always have in a glass or a little thing. I've got tonight. We've got the penguin juice. If you buy a penguin lemonade, it's a lemonade with pineapple in it. A penguin, there it is. There, look at that. Philip is really on the ball tonight with us. They will donate a section to Sankob as well. To make sure that we can help the penguins, which need a lot of help here in the bay with all the bunkering and crap that goes on in this bay. We need to sort out the penguins. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I said the sound is distorting a little bit. I think we can just take down the volume on the microphones. Philip is new to this. All right, let's see what we do. I'm gonna turn the dB down. Let's turn it down. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, now it should be a little bit better now. All right. So the sound shouldn't distort too much. Let me know if it's going, if it's okay. The sound is okay. And tonight we have Ronnie van Jaarsveld from LineOut, our not only a friend of ours, but also we've gone into all sorts of business ventures together over the last little while. And Ronnie's an amazing character. So we're going to get him on without further ado. Let's get on our guest.
Welcome to the show. Now is your time to shine. We're gonna have a lekker chat tonight. Another good time.
Okay, so mine should be.
All right, that should be right. It looks like it's not distorting now. Just tell us if if the sound is distorting. We need to get these. They're new mics. See, got these new mics,
Okay,
yeah,
well,
which is
fancy.
You know, because you should know because you, that's
so
what
professional.
you do. Always. This is what you do. You do streaming. You
I
do
do
this
a
stuff.
little bit of that, yes.
So I feel like I'm under pressure tonight a little bit.
No judgment yet. We're friends. We're all friends here.
Exactly. But I mean, you do streaming. You guys, LineOut Productions is your name of your company, and it's been going for ages. Although you guys sort of flew under the radar for a long while. You weren't big into the advertising, you know.
No, that's maybe something where I could have done a better job. But I think I like the fact that word of mouth is the way that we got out there.
Yeah.
And that can only happen if you're really doing good work.
Good job.
You know, and you're building a reputation and so forth.
Yeah.
And also our market's very niche. So it's not like you can drop flyers and hopefully somebody's going to rent a stage from you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it was more a direct marketing approach.
It's definitely like that.
We could have done better. I think it only took 8 years before I had a name on the building that said LineOut. So it took a while, but I think it's a difficult thing to market because also of the width of our service offering. We've expanded so much over the years, and obviously COVID also made us throw the net even wider. So to target a specific person who's going to make a decision regarding our services, it's quite hard.
But with advertising, especially, what do they call it? Above the line, below the line?
Below the line, yeah. So we also do activations, below the line activations.
Okay.
By the way, if you didn't know.
I do below the belt
Tick of
activations.
Need to know list. Is this show PG rated? I don't know. I just want to make sure about my audience, you know.
No, so I mean, but
That's very good though. I'll give you that one.
We do. Advertising in this industry is not an easy thing. Actually, I mean, you've got to, like you say, you've got to really target the right people because you're almost like the wholesaler of the music industry. You know, you're not selling directly to the public as such.
I think it's hard for people to understand what we do as a company. Let's talk about. I mean, it's easy to understand what an events company does from event coordination.
Yeah.
We arrange events, you know, you pull it all together, you coordinate it on the day.
Which you do as well.
We do that as well.
Yeah.
Our core business is the technical side where we provide sound, staging, lighting, audiovisual, like you mentioned, the streaming and so forth.
Okay.
And I think the reason why it's difficult is because people don't necessarily understand what we do or why we need it. Mm-hmm. I remember even before myself, I entered this industry, I would think, you know, if you saw a band playing at an event, they were bringing their own stuff and setting it up and doing it and that. I didn't understand this rental industry or this production industry. And the name LineOut Productions or whatever production company, I would think that from my IT days, you're talking about production as in producing a product. But production means live event production, the technical portion of an event. And so it's hard to market that directly and get people to understand necessarily what you do unless it's a person who knows that they need your service. And to market to those people would be a little bit difficult.
It's actually interesting that you said that people perceive they perceive a band starting or the guys on the stage, and they just think that they would have brought all that stuff. You know, they would have brought all that together.
That's what people believe. I mean, even I believed that before, and I knew about technical, but even before I had a business in this line. But
90% of the time it's not. It's got it. I mean, because there's so much to set up and there's so much to do.
So I think when you're a small band, you're starting out, you're carting everything in your bucky, and even somebody's even sitting in the back of the bucky. You know, when you go touring gig to gig and you're hauling out your own gear and you're setting it up, you running everything yourself basically as a band because that's where you are. But as soon as you start growing, you start building a reputation, and bands get bigger and they draw bigger audiences.
Yeah.
The budget is there then to say, okay, well, we can't really tour with a truck full of stuff.
Yeah.
So they would do a tour from city to city, and in those cities there would be a standard. That's the rider, the rider that we send. The rider is a document where the promoter sends to you that says the band needs this.
Yeah.
They need this drum kit, this backline equipment. They need, a minimum. And there's some brands that are like really desired in our industry.
Yeah.
Only a few of them, and you need to meet that spec, and you need to have that in your inventory. And then you rent it out, you go set it up, and you operate that event.
Yeah, we must remember that people that are watching that, because we can start talking a bit more technical.
Yeah.
But we got to watch out, because people that are watching are absolutely.
I see we've lost 10 people just
technical. The eyes sort of glaze over when we start talking technical.
Squirrel.
But it's interesting that, I mean, like you talk about backline. Backline means the band equipment. So your drums,
stuff on stage,
and your amplifiers, and the guitarists who are playing their own guitars usually, or they might even need a guitar, but they'll want to play through a certain amplifier.
Yeah, that we then have to provide and rent and make sure that it works and set it up for them to play. And the band basically rocks up with all that stuff ready. Yeah. They plug in, they do their sound check, they perform, and they leave.
That's it, and it's a hell of a setup. Like, and it, depending on especially if it's an outdoor thing as well. I just see we've got a couple of comments here. Let's have this, because Barbara says that the sound is fine. That's good. And there's Miranda Ferreira saying, how's it?
Good evening.
Evening, Miranda. Nice to see you. And Brendan Kelly there as well. Fantastic. Nice to see you on as well.
During the tech chat. He's one of those that we didn't lose.
There we go. That's
Keep it coming.
Brendan knows his story. Brendan's got motor mouth. He does. He does the for all the motor sport stuff. He's the commentator.
Okay. So how technical do you want us to go?
Yeah.
Do you know that decibel is a logarithmic function? Okay, never mind. That's
There we go.
Never mind. Let's get back to business.
I don't know what sort of PA he uses there, but it's probably one of those honky.
I had a PA like that. I mean, like a sound system.
Yeah, like a sound.
not a personal assistant. That's
not one of those. No. Sean Coast, there he goes, another techie. Sean, of course, used to own Pop Shop.
Oh, really?
Yes, Sean was my boss back in the day when I was a student. I was at Sean. We call faulty house. Of course, we call it faulty. And Sean actually Ronnie told me about, because Ronnie plays bass, and Sean also plays bass actually. Oh, and he told
must be a good man.
Yeah, and I know that you came into the shop a few times with Mike McCauley being around playing bass as well.
The early days.
Watching Mike play some bass in Pop Shop, because Pop Shop became like a little hub.
Yeah,
hub for musos. It was fantastic. On a Friday afternoon, we'd bring a few beers, and the guys would all pull in and have a big jam. It was always.
That sounds great. It sounds like what we are trying to achieve in our little venture.
Yes, at Baywest.
Tempo Music.
Tempo Music. Oh, gee, was that too? Yeah. Tempo Music, of course.
Look at Dion.
Dion Matthijs is here. Yes. Dion as well. Also Tempo Music. Also Pop Shop and Tempo Music and Musicland, and at that time it was 3 or 4 shops, I think there were. And Tini was at Pellicles. I believe Tini was in town a little while ago. And Dion and Tini played together with Steel.
Wow.
And Steel.
I think I was in diapers then.
You don't remember Steel? No, it was fantastic.
Gene was in Steel. Tini was in Steel. Kevin and Dion. And Gili was Gili
Badenhorst as well. Dion will be able to tell us. I'm sure they had
that
a few.
That was the generation before me.
Chris Adams also play keys with you guys. Dion, I can't remember now. You'll let us know, I'm sure. And then I see Rosalind. You're obviously talking to him, clearly. I mean, yeah.
Well, flattery will get you that bonus and everything else.
I'm the one with a jacket, Ross. Honestly. And I see Wendy from Centrestage as well.
Hello, Wendy.
Lovely to see you, Wendy, as well. And she hasn't been on for a while. You've been sleeping there, Wendy. What's going on? But yes. Obviously, maybe he's doing something else on Tuesdays. And who's that there? Oh, Dion. Chris also did. I thought so. Chris was a great keyboard player.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But jazz, we could do some lekker jazz as well. There was a story that we went out to Fish River Sun and did a gig with Pam Golding, and her husband Cecil Golding was also a keyboard player. And he came in and played a bit with Chris Adams, played some jazz, and then Pam sang. Pam was, let's just say Cecil was he was really good. I had video. I lost that video. It was fantastic to have Pam Golding singing. No. Ross is having a laugh as well. Finland, Pitty, lovely to see you, Finland. We were just talking about your daughter, Finland, Abigail.
I'd like everybody to, public service announcement is that Finland's name is spelled with an I.
There we go. It's without a Y.
Yeah, not a Y.
Finland with 2 Ys.
Hello, Finland.
Finland, Osland, Pitty, and let me tell you, Abigail is doing a fabulous job. Finland, we don't need you back. It's fine.
Yeah. She did a stunning job on Saturday night at the
Saturday
Woodlands
night.
Dairy.
We did Woodlands Dairy, 30 years. Ronnie and LineOut did the sound and everything, and which was unbelievable. It's a massive PA. And we had the full 11-piece band with
it was great.
Abigail Pitty. That was great fun. But you were just talking about Tempo. Let's have because that's something you're busy with now. Tempo Musik opening in Walmer.
Yes, we opened today or yesterday. My guys can correct me. Today or yesterday was exactly a month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We opened at 152 Main Road Walmer at the Yard. I think everybody who's watched Facebook and the social platforms have seen that.
They have seen it.
That's something. It's a story that's a long time coming.
Yeah.
Remember our mutual great late friend Dave Opperman?
Yes.
He started his journey there at Tempo.
Of course.
After school working there. Remember when it was still Hunter's Retreat?
It was near the 3 pagodas there somewhere in the shopping centre up that side.
So they started. He started there. I mean, when they were in Kabiga, close to where you now mentioned. Yes. I bought my first guitar there at the shop. That was many years ago. I'd like to not give away the exact dates, but
2000, early 2000s.
Yeah, so it was. There's a lot of history with Tempo and us with Dave, and sort of maybe paying homage to him as well. We always joked. Dave was young, but he had high mileage. Lots of gigs and so on. So we joked and jokingly said that I'll buy a Tempo one day and it'll be his retirement gig, because he loved the keyboards and he loved the instruments, and obviously, his nature was just to help people.
He loved Dion and Kevin.
Yes,
as well.
absolutely. They are family. So
always, Even his sense of humor.
Exactly.
He had a Tempo sense of humor.
Exactly. He was molded by that shop. So in a way, it's been coming a long time. And Tempo has also suffered the blows from COVID, like we all have in the industry. And so we've been chatting about it. But in the beginning of the year, we sat down and we said, okay, let's maybe make this real. And I think it was an emotional decision more than a financial one per se. But it was also in part because of the history and in part to just kind of honor Dave's memory. In something that stays alive. I mean, Tempo has been running for 44 years now.
Wow,
Next year would be 45 years. Yes, exactly.
Niels was
so it also serves to preserve a heritage that's been in PE for that long. I mean, we remember the Burokes competitie. SABC.
In the 80s, the Dion and Kevin, the young Dion and Kevin, playing behind their dad and they won it. I think.
They won in 1980, and subsequently he started Tempo Musik in Hunter's Retreat.
So that was that. I wonder if that was the spark for Niels to do that. I'm sure
Dion and Kevin can comment on that, but I definitely think that that pushed them into that direction.
Yes.
And I think it's a valuable thing to preserve. I think they're still active musicians on the music scene today and have been for all these decades. So I think our aim with this Tempo is to really lift it to even more than it's ever been. I'm sure everybody who walks in there knows the shop has a great feeling. Musos love to hang around there. And the combination of that and the yard is, like I said at the opening, is that we want to try and be an incubator for the local live music scene.
Okay.
You know, and we're working on the plans for that. And you can keep your
Ear to the
eyes
ground.
to the ground and watch our social media. There will be things to follow. We've had a few smaller events at the yard.
Yes.
And I think that's something that'll grow organically from just the passion in the music shop.
There's no one better than Dion and yourself to do that. I mean, I sit with Dion. I miss you. If I'm feeling like, Jesus, busy with a song and I'm recording and I'm thinking, is this all right? I'll send it to Dion, and Dion's like, let's look at it.
That's the passion, you know.
The
passion is there.
Share war stories, but you say for like an incubator, so that sounds fun. It sounds like
I feel like there's definitely, if you look at global trends, music. Well, you can estimate it by looking at what sells, so music instruments, guitars have done better in COVID than they have before COVID, and it's obviously people are at home, they've got time, and this is now the great time to start doing that thing that you've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So pick up the guitar, pick up an instrument, and start learning. Also now we've got the internet, and you can have access to lessons from the best people out there, which we didn't have when we were younger. You know, people today are fortunate that if you want to learn, you've got access to
YouTube,
absolutely endless supply of information. And looking at that, the trend there, it's strange that it doesn't follow that now in these smaller metros, where we don't see that live scene growing in that way that follows those trends. So I think we might be a little bit behind, and I don't want to overestimate my own knowledge of the industry per se, but I do think that if we don't start doing something about it, then we can't preserve it, you know. And Tempo serves as a little hub. It's obviously a natural progression or a natural part of our evolution as LineOut, because we're so involved in the music industry, the National Arts Festival for many, many years.
Yes,
and with a lot of productions involving music, it kind of was a natural addition, and it worked out so well that now you know, it forms like a natural part of our DNA, and also the guys fit so well, and Dion and Dylan fit so well into our culture, the company,
company culture.
So it all worked out very well.
It is great, and I think over the years you've almost fed off each other, especially with the influence of Dave Opperman, who passed last year.
September last year.
Such a legend guy. I think there wasn't a person who ever said a bad word about Dave. He was just a generous from the heart.
Yeah, almost to his own detriment. But I mean, nothing was too much trouble for him, and he also, you know, burned with passion for music. You know, he'd be the one who encourages me to play. And you know, remember when you guys asked me to play in the shows?
Yes.
Since a year or two ago, the first show, he would rock up there with a whole backline kit and everything, and set me up and everything, and he just wanted everything to be perfect, you know, just to get me to play.
I love that,
and I love that about him. You know, he's always had that enthusiasm for.
Come on, Ronnie, come on. Yeah. I'll set it. I'll bring it. No, come.
Yeah, come. He pushed me a lot of the time to actually, you know, I mean, we're in business now, so we don't often have that opportunity or the freedom or the luxury to just say, I can forget what I do for a day job and just get on the stage and play. I don't necessarily have that luxury. But he certainly helped to push me into that a lot of the time and say, come on, man, just, you know, remember why you did this in the first place.
Something that you love.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. You've got to remember, because you are also a workaholic. I know you as well. And
I can neither confirm or deny those allegations.
Let's just have a quick look at some of the musos are coming on here. Let's have a squiz, man. Barbara says the great Sandy Robbie.
Yes.
Sandy's in Australia at the moment, and he's such a legend. Sandy is also one of the most generous guys I know out there. He's always rehearsing. He's always practicing. Going. I see who else is there. Calvin Smith, long live Tempo. Yes, absolutely.
Look at Kevin there now. What's it?
Kevin Matthijs. What does Kevin say? It says, I'm the last guy to do body shaming, but I think Ronnie should tell us how a man who did not play lock at school came up with the name of LineOut.
Listen,
fat shaming.
I could tell you a story about that name, which in answer to Kevin's question there. So when I started, I mean, when you're young and you're enthusiastic and you want to think of this clever name for a company that deals with audio.
Yes.
And we started predominantly as an audio company, and then obviously grew from there. So LineOut, as you know, is the channel, or it's the output of any audio device to anything else. And I figure we rent audio stuff out. LineOut is such a clever name. You know, I mean, it's genius. And I made the little business card and everything. And the first guy I met asked me, so what's your business's name? And I said, it's LineOut. He says, oh, like in rugby. And I'm like, no, not at all like in rugby.
I've never thought of that until now. Until Kevin said it now.
In 15 years, only one really high-level sound engineer got my name. Nobody else did. I should have called it Sound Hire Services.
Sound out. Something
Anyway,
like that.
Yeah, so that's how LineOut became what it is. By that time, it was too late. The business was registered.
Yes. There's Ingrid. Ingrid Krief, wife of Andrew.
Hi, Ingrid.
So excited for LineOut and Tempo. Wishing you many sales and happiness. Ingrid,
I'll take that. I'll take it. Thank you, Ingrid.
Yeah, Ingrid is a legend as well. She's been to all the shows.
Also, obviously, Dave, again, big history with Andrew and Creative Audio.
Creative Audio, man, just a long history there. Andrew, also a legend of in our circles, in our area here, for sure. That's from teenager just looking at the instruments to owning a store. Never give up on your dreams. Yeah, you're right.
So before I say anything, this is my friend from Arizona.
Oh, wow.
In the States.
Well, I can see he's got a big cactus.
Big cacti. Well, they dared me to do a shout out. So to Rion Conway and family, shout out to Marinus in Joburg and to Johan in Mossel Bay or Cape Town, wherever you are between the two. Shout out to you guys. That was the day.
Conways.
But thanks for the comments, Rion.
So they've moved over the refugees.
They predate the refugee status.
Okay.
No, they got there legitimately.
Oh, right, excellent.
Without faking.
That's it.
We're getting into serious politics here.
They had to also sell their house for 2.2 million or something.
No, actually, Rion had family there, and he managed to get a green card.
Oh, wow. There we go. So
they've been there quite a few years, actually.
Okay.
About 4 years, I think, yeah.
I see some history there. Kevin Matthijs giving us the history there. Let's have a look. So Gene Smith told Niels to cash in his pension and cash in the publicity of winning the competition with his silent partner. They each put in 1,000 rand. Oh, my soul. And open Tempo and Hunter's Retreat Hyper. And the Hunter's Retreat Hyper, I remember that one, actually.
Wow.
I went and bought records from the Pick and Pay, and then we used to go and walk past Tempo. So remember that.
Listen, there was a place there that sold ice cream that had you could get this, what do you call it, not a soft service,
like a scoop, like
scoop,
Italian gelati,
and it was like a purple cherry kind of ice cream. It was the best ice cream. So there are two reasons to visit that It was the ice cream and it was the guitars and Tempo Music. So thanks for that those facts there, Kevin.
Yes, thank you.
For 1,000 rand today, you can almost buy a set of bass strings at Tempo Music.
That's fantastic. And you just get us thinking about the early days. You're also nostalgic. You love
I like history.
Yeah. And I see, Aneska says, I think it's time for another show. I know, we just spoke about it. You know, are
you saying it's time for another show after now what we're doing now?
Yeah, no. She's talking about Sensational 6.
I was almost thinking she's like, dude, give it a rest.
I tell
Find
you
somebody with talent.
No, we did the Sensational 6 together.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? 3 years ago. 2 years ago.
It was about 2 years ago.
2 years ago, and it was fantastic fun.
Yeah, it got me to dust off the cobwebs off the instruments and then, finally get a bit of fitness back.
Yeah, and you did Mag 7 as well. You did Mag 7 too.
It was fantastic.
Great
loved
fun.
It. Yeah, loved it.
And a masterful bass player, this chap as well. I really enjoyed it as a drummer. You sink into people. I loved it. So we
had a lot of fun.
We had a good job for that. And let's see, Sean Gross is so chuffed to see the Tempo banner lifted high again. He says, absolutely, Sean. And I was talking to you.
It's so high, I can't come by.
Yeah. I was just saying, Sean was the guy who came up with virtual music in 1998 while we still had 14.4 modems and the internet was just that was just a babe. And Sean came up with this virtual music story where he made a website and he had all the products online and you could go and look at it. And then in the shop, it was slightly hybrid. So you go into the shop to look for it, and then you find it there in the shop, and then you order it. And I don't know how many sales he did, Sean. You'll have to tell us how we did that.
Spotify beta version.
But it was a little early. It was a little early in that phase. But Sean could have been the CEO of Flip and Take a Lot now, if you think about it.
The timing is everything, eh?
Yeah, Sean, I tell you what, I think about that a lot, that you had the foresight to think of that flipping crazy idea at the time.
Oh, good for you. Good for you for coming up with that.
You know, it couldn't wait it out to wait for the right thing. Zen Station says, hey, thanks, Ronnie. Who's Zen Station?
That's Marinus.
Marinus.
My friend in Boksburg.
Oh, is it Boksburg?
That's
There's a Boerewors triangle there. Boksburg, Brankpan and Benoni. Yes. Oh, so you know you come from Benoni if you've got curtains in your bakkie but not in your house. Sean says about 3 sales he made, online sales. Sean, you're a genius. They just didn't know it.
It's just timing. It was just timing.
Oh, my word. Marina says, lekker Ronnie. Marinus. I enjoy. I mean, at that time, all the music shops were doing. You know, they did a fair trade, and it was tough. It was tough for the musos, for the music shops owners back then as well. And so I mean, how did you? Let's go back in your history. Let's go back.
Okay.
Let's go back now. Where were you born? Were you born in P?
No, I was born in. I'm going to say it softly. Rodepoort.
Rodepoort. Is naby daar by Boksburg.
In the Wesrand.
Wesrand.
Yeah, I was born in Rodepoort, but we moved to Port Elizabeth when I was about 5 years old.
Oh.
And we stayed here. I've lived sporadically in Joburg, but we were here most of the time. So probably about 39, 40 years now.
I mean, your father,
more than that.
Was that your dad worked at various places? What was he doing?
No. They relocated here from Gauteng or Transvaal in those days.
Okay, yeah.
And he's a dental mechanic by trade, dental technician. So he was in his trade working here. But we moved down here, they had family down here.
How are your teeth?
Your teeth? They're pretty okay, you know, but I didn't get any discount. But he's not a dentist. He comes in when these are gone.
I see.
Dental technician, yeah. So hy maak
false stunner, yeah. I see. Okay.
So he couldn't help me yet, but maybe one day.
Maybe one day. And they stare at it and when you take them out, you know. Nesca's got such good things to look forward to. You know?
Wow. What's that?
Okay, so and at school, yeah?
Yeah.
Afrikaans, English at home?
No, I'm proper Afrikaans.
Afrikaans?
Van Jaarsveld.
So het jy Afrikaans gepraat by die huis?
Ja, ons is in volle Afrikaans.
Yes, so was jou ma se...
my ma was 'n venter en my pa is van Jaarsveld.
Yes.
Ja.
So proper
Afrikaans.
En Afrikaanse skool ook?
Kabega Park Laerskool. Ja. Ja, nee, in Vryheidsby Hoërskool.
Hoërskool Vryheidsby. Het jy atletiek gedoen dan?
Ja, no, not at 5'3".
5'3". Yeah, you know. So not scrum off.
Nee. I was more of a ball sport person.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Tennis and
squash. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So squash as well.
Yeah, squash later in life. But yeah, squash, big passion. Yeah.
Okay, you weren't doing any of the sports where you could.
No, eventually cycling all the way against the wind back from Framesby in the evenings after tennis was like, hey man, this is not worth it.
I was that guy as well. I was also cycling home from school. Yeah, they didn't care.
But it gave me calves, you know, so there was that.
Did you enjoy your sport?
Yeah. I only realized, I think, way after school, you know, when you have small businesses, you're always busy and you're always busy building and that. Yeah. So I only rediscovered squash later in life. Okay. And then started playing at Lawn Park, I think 2013. And then got really, really involved, got involved in the committee, and eventually I was chairman for a couple of years. Yeah. So I got really involved in the sport.
It sounds
I still
like
love
you.
it.
You go and play sport, and then you get involved in the whole thing.
Take
You
over.
don't. It's
Another
some
domain.
personality type. You get
I-
involved completely. Whatever you do.
Yeah, I can't help it.
I don't think so, because I mean, any project that you do,
If
is
you
where
could just move to this chair and I sit there and start handling things. No, I'm
No,
joking.
exactly the tech side. But I mean, you have to get your hands dirty in whatever you do.
Yeah, I'm a hands-on person, and I believe you've got to keep your finger on the pulse, which does make it difficult when you start scaling businesses or scaling anything you do, because you can't always keep your fingers on the ground everywhere.
Yeah.
And that makes, then you need good systems in place. You need to have discipline with those systems, because they're only as good as the people who are actually, sort of enforcing or operating those systems. And then good staff. I have a really good team around me. That helps a lot. But I'm very, very, very hands-on in anything. Not never too good to get your hands dirty.
But I'm realizing that it's absolutely your personality, the way you are. I don't think there's anything that when you get interested, a little bit intrigued with something, then you're right
then
in.
it's balls to the wall.
Balls in.
Yeah.
You say balls deep, but
I said balls.
it brings
to the
on
wall.
all sorts of.
They just sound very committed.
Yeah.
Let's rephrase that.
I'll say you're getting deep into.
Yeah, I get when I get involved properly.
Yeah,
And then when I'm committed, till death do us part. That kind
Now
of
I'm doing a bit of a psychological assumptions analysis here, like, because did you study after school? After matric?
I studied IT and electrical
Oh,
engineering.
so you did.
Yeah,
go
but apparently 2 half diplomas don't make a whole.
there. But I'm thinking now,
So I'm
because
half qualified in 2 specialized fields.
I was going to say, if you didn't finish, that means because you like to get involved in what you're doing, and you're already making money. So you got involved, and you had this like business acumen that's built into your brain. Because I've talked to Ronnie.
Figures man.
You're a figures guy. So was your maths good at school as well, and that stuff, or not?
Well,
Counts.
in a Technicon, it was very good the 3rd time I tried. Not the first 2. No, I wasn't very disciplined at school. I think I maybe cruised a little bit through school. As long as you got above average, I was left alone. So that was good enough. But I think our family all had sort of an entrepreneurial incline. And all of them had businesses, my brothers and my father at some stage. So you had that around you. And I worked in some of those businesses early on and at school, after school. So I think you kind of naturally gravitate towards that, to seeing opportunity, and you learn from small businesses. By counting 2 rands, you learn about money and things like that. Cashing up every day, counting coins. The teachers, it's where you learn the ropes.
How many brothers and sisters?
I've got 3 brothers, all older than me. And I'm 8 years younger than the last brother of the 3. So I was like a laat lam.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So she was quite a big family actually then.
Yeah.
And no sisters, no.
No sisters.
sisters, eh?
They tried hard eventually.
Really?
They
Yeah,
must
it's
have given up after
forward
me.
was like,
They're like, this is not happening. Just let's cut it here.
But like you say, entrepreneurial, so it comes from your folks as well, do you think?
Yeah, I think not my folks so much. My father had some businesses, and later in life also had his own laboratory in terms of his dental technician practice. And he did that till he retired. But my 3 brothers all had businesses.
Okay, so they
in various lines, and I think I just maybe picked it up from there.
were they also down here in Peter, then move away?
At some point, the youngest of the 3 brothers moved back to Joburg. He was here. He did his army service here, and then moved to Joburg, and he's been there most of his life. My oldest brother is here in PE, has an aluminium business, and the middle of the 2 has been in New Zealand. He immigrated to New Zealand about 25 years ago.
Wow.
And he's been there all along.
Oh, that's quite tough, eh?
Yeah, it's widely spread.
Yeah. And I mean, a close-knit family?
Yeah, but we live far apart. Yeah, so we see each other often, but wouldn't say that close knit because of the distance. You know, we talk a lot on the phone and we chat a lot.
Stick together.
Yeah, I see us. You know, when I'm in Joburg, I visit the family there.
Yeah.
Because obviously with the branch there, I'm there quite often.
Yes.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm interested because this this entrepreneur scene is really strong in you. You know, it's like the force.
Serial entrepreneur.
I mean, you love to get involved in the Tempo is a project now that you're really involved in. But I mean, it's been a lot of things over your life. So when you were at Varsity now, you went Technicon or Varsity or
in those days it was still Technicon,
to get the start doing. You said
IT and electrical engineering.
Electrical engineering.
Yeah.
So that gave you a good base, actually.
Yeah. Well, I've always been fascinated by the technical side as well. When I was at school, even I was involved with audio systems and that. So that was obviously something that I gravitated to and I had an interest in. And then music was a big passion. And so the two of them kind of culminated eventually into a business like LineOut, where I now get to be involved in the things I enjoy. I still have a sort of a close proximity to music all the time because of the type of work we do.
Yes.
And then obviously Tempo was just another extension of that passion.
Yes,
You know?
of course.
Very good excuse to buy a lot of guitars.
Yes. Oh, I saw them. I've seen some of them. They are
Fully
beautiful, beautiful guitars.
Yeah.
If you want to see some awesome guitars and buy some, I'm sure pop down to Tempo because they've got.
We're very, very proud of that that little establishment there and what's inside there. You know, I think
brilliant.
It's really really speaks of a passion.
Yeah, it does. And I was going to ask you if your brothers played any instruments.
No. My father played saxophone, and there was always a music instrument in the house. Although I was quite young when they were quite mature by the time I was there. You know, so we didn't experience a lot of that. I know they all like music. I know my brother in Johannesburg also has a lot of guitars and music instruments that he likes.
Yes.
And he's dabbled with guitar a little bit and so on. But I think I had the opportunity because of my age at the time. I was in, I started music quite early, at 5, 6 years old, took some piano lessons. But that all changed when we moved down to Port Elizabeth.
Who was your teacher?
Well, that was in
Mrs. who?
I can't even remember.
It's normally a Mrs. So-and-so from, wherever.
I had exactly that person,
Exact same one.
exactly the reason why I just said no.
This is Tchaikovsky, or this is Mozart.
For me, it was this is enough. So, but in high school, I took on guitar again.
For the woman, obviously.
A classical guitar. No, unfortunately, I didn't have that insight. But
classical.
I got into that, and then was asked to play bass in church. Because I was the closest thing to a bass guitar as the small church could ask for. You know? And I picked up the bass and started playing, and I really fell in love with the instrument. And I think it's just because it got me involved easily in the band. You know, you could almost cruise by just knowing a few notes and be
the
involved.
worship bands. Brilliant. A brilliant breeding ground for musicians.
Absolutely. It really gave me, and I suppose a lot of people at that level, the opportunity to get involved and actually start playing with a band. Whether you were great or whether you sucked completely,
didn't matter too much.
You had the opportunity.
Yeah, because there was always a time when somebody didn't come to church that Sunday and
you were the spare wheel.
We did. Okay, we'll just chuck him in. Go.
Yeah, and so that gave me the opportunity, and it grew from there. You know, and even obviously today still. That led to me playing in church and you know, practicing a lot, getting a little bit better. Eventually, I had a little home studio in Westring, double garage. It was converted. It was called Blue Room Music.
Blue Room Music?
Clever name. Another one of my genius names. I had a lot of friends come around and just make basic recordings. It was very, very elementary.
Yeah.
It was very basic.
Grassroots.
But it did give us the opportunity to play together and to record songs and things like that. And I think that was a great foundation to build on later on, because you then understood things like equalization and all the dynamics processing and things that have to do with sound.
Yeah.
Which translated nicely to live sound eventually, you know.
Parametric EQ.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that freaked me out. So first parametric, how's this parametric EQ? What is this? It's a mid, but it's not good.
Oh, hello from Quebec, Canada. Philip Locher.
There we go.
Hello,
there we go.
Philip.
Yes. Oh, is it Quebec? Is that where you are, Philip? I always say it's from the States. It's in Quebec in Canada. Oh my word. So and you see he's got his guitar there and his stuff. That was my ex-GP. He left the GP, the doctor's profession. He's become a professional musician. There he is.
Right. Hello, Karin.
Karin, she's, I agree, another Sensational Six show. Yes, I think so. I think we must do that, Karin. Absolutely. She was at VP when I was around there as well.
Kevin, what does Kevin say?
My dad says you always judge a man from his shoulders up. Two of the biggest men I've worked with was Niels and Jacques de Koning. If Ronnie keeps on his trajectory, you could join the team.
Well, goal set. I'll try my bestest, Mr. Matthias.
Yes, sir. I hope you're doing okay there in sunny Durbs, eh?
Yeah, all the curry and all.
Good gainful employment. Is good gainful employment there. Johan,
The Gulder.
The Gulder. What is the Gulder?
Well, this is an interesting story. So the guys that I greeted,
yes,
Johan, Marinus, and Rion, we've all been. Rion and myself have been friends since Kabiga days.
Okay.
So that's very, very long.
Okay.
And Johan and Marinus, who you also saw commenting earlier,
yes.
We've been friends since high school.
Wow.
Just after high school, maybe. But
like
during
40
that time,
years ago.
Very, very long ago. Very long ago. And so we've got a group that we've kept together because of everybody moving around and that. We've got a one of these chat groups that we talk nonsense on every day and send memes and all that.
Excellent, I like that.
And that's the Gulder, but I can't elaborate on that name.
The Gulder.
PG
But
audience.
dezelfde word van de Nederland. Did you think it up in a coffee shop? Oh yeah, excellent. Ohama Jakala says the serial entrepreneur. I say Ohama, it's Kama. See, it's a Q, not a O. Kama Jakala.
Yep, serial entrepreneur.
There we go, absolutely. And Zen says I was a drummer at the time. Oh,
yeah,
really?
so Marinus was the drummer when I learned to play bass. He started playing.
So you were on the
drums and
skins.
Yeah.
You see, you get slotted onto the skins. Kevin was like that too. I think Kevin, I'm in Randburg. Oh, is that where you are? About 15 kilometers from Roodepoort.
With his paramedic EQ.
Oh my!
Oh, that's not good news.
Oh no!
I can't help you with that. If it was parametric, I'm the expert. But paramedic, I don't know. Seek help or press the emergency button.
I hope you're not having a heart attack, Kevin Matthijs. Yes, like
Randburg, it's
amazing
than Roodepoort.
Kevin is an incredible drummer, and
absolutely,
I was out
rock
there.
Solid.
Tempo Musik out at Kabiga Park. I went out there. I made I worked at Pop Shop, but I made some special trips out to the competition there at Tempo to go and sit with Kevin and just jam. He always had upstairs. He had the drums upstairs.
Yes.
And we used to have a jam, and he was just so neat and tidy. And I was so messy. I remember being like going home thinking, yes, I must get neater.
we joked about this in the shop the other day. That I think Niels, when Mr. Niels Matthias was still alive.
Yes,
he always spoke about Kevin's drumming, and he said, "Niemand het nog so 'n aanslag gehad."
Aanslag.
Which is true.
Absolutely.
A rock solid drummer.
Solid. We miss him in the Centrestage band as well.
Absolutely.
Of course. And I've got to sit behind and sing from behind the drums. What, you left me with this, Kevin? Okay, so I mean, then after your studies, I remember you telling me about selling hot dogs or pancakes or something. What was it that you had a shop that you were selling?
I've had
fast food.
Yeah, well, I've had fast food businesses and pizzerias.
As well.
And I've had these are all things that I tried when I was young.
Okay.
Early days.
You're still young.
Yes.
Compared to me.
When I was younger.
Yes.
Was in my youth.
Yes.
yeah, you try things, and then circumstances change and so on. I've been very fortunate that I've never had a business that didn't work.
Yeah.
But businesses work in relation to the amount of capital you can invest. So a little bit of capital can only give you a little bit of return. So you work very, very hard. Part of the investment is obviously your time and your grit and your grind. And so in those early days, you didn't have a lot of money to start something big. So you look for the smaller opportunities. And something like a fast food outlet was something that we knew. The brother from New Zealand had a takeaway, a fast food outlet in the industrial area that I worked at and kind of honed my skills at. And you learn a lot from observing.
Well, and hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff.
Well, yeah, it was a typical fast food outlet that had chips and hamburgers and had a pie warmer and all sorts of things in the industrial area.
Like Markman, they talk about
a deal party.
Good Lord, okay.
And it was a legendary place. People drove from Walmer to go and buy food there. It was kind of a thing, and it started uniquely because the two older brothers started a aluminium business. The one in New Zealand is a mechanical engineer.
Okay.
And they started an aluminium business in Deal Party, and they had a space next door to them that was vacant. Not a big space, small space, but it was vacant. And they couldn't find a place where they could buy good food.
Yes.
And so out of necessity, I was self-indulgent.
Yes.
This idea was born, like, let's start a small takeaway.
Okay.
And eventually they kind of this little business got very busy, and the younger of the two brothers took over this business, and the other one, they kind of swapped their shares. And he ran this takeaway, this fast food outlet, and I started working there when I was at school weekends as a casual
What
job.
was it called?
It was called Burman Road Takeaway in Burman Road. They call it Burmese. Burmese is a short name. It still exists, actually.
Really?
It's still there. Yeah.
The takeaway?
It's still there. I promise you. It's still there. It started in 1993, and it's still there. It's changed.
Tell me where.
It's changed hands
I'm
many times.
I'm going to go and find it next time I go to Burman Road to collect the Fitch and Leeds for the...
Is it 94 Burman Road? I don't know. Sort of midway midway in Burman Road to the left-hand side. I think it still exists. I was there the other day making a video for my friend in America's 50th birthday because we both started working in that place when we after school. Yeah.
Do you know the guy that runs it as well?
I don't. I've known two of the owners subsequent to the sale when my brother moved to New Zealand.
Okay.
But I haven't met the current owner. I don't know if it's the same person.
All right.
But it still exists. It's still there. I mean, I was there and I couldn't believe that.
There we go.
So many years.
Rion says Burman Road Takeaways.
What a legend.
Is it? Hey, look at that.
Listen, it was also, again, one of those places, great location and so on, and it did very well. It was very, very busy. I remember in days on Friday evenings, we would sell 150 kilograms of chips.
Potato chips. Slap chips.
We used to buy from Jack's Fresh Produce in Kempston Road. I think they also still exist. These pre-cut bags of chips, 10 kgs, of pre-cut chips. Because we didn't have the time to cut out chips. There were 5 people in the kitchen, 3 in the counter, so there were 8 people working in that small space, and it was manic there. when that you heard the bells from all the blue collar workers coming in with their Coke bottles under their arms, and they'd rush in. And we learned to take pressure from those rushes. I mean, suddenly there's nobody in the shop, and suddenly there's 40 people, and they all want their food now in the 15 minutes that they've got a tea break. And on Fridays we used to sell, I kid you not, 150 kilos of chips. And that was the kind of volumes that you push through such a small business.
Big flipping bowl of boiling oil and just...
It was massive, it was massive, and it was so incredibly busy. But I learned a lot from that place. I hated it at the time. Imagine a teenager in a fish and chip shop. You'd hate it. But what I learned from there was so invaluable that I never realized it until later in life, that you kind of honed yourself and simple things like cashing up every day, like I mentioned earlier, counting 2 rands and seeing the value of what a handful of 2 rands are. Today, still those small principles, I think might be the reason why I could pull us through COVID, and why all these other things work, and how to be frugal when you need to.
Take
and
care
how
of the pennies.
And a very big thing is, I mean, if you look at statistics now, it's, I mean, I might be misquoting, but only about I think it's only about 93 out of 100 businesses survive 5 years.
Wow.
Right, and there's a statistic. It's like 20% might make it to 5 years, and less than 10% make it past 7. And 7 years, kind of the big break. If you've gone past 7, then you've actually there might be some continuity.
Yeah. Okay.
And a lot of the time, if you look at the number one reason why businesses fail, it's not necessarily a bad business venture or a bad business idea. It's diminishing cash flow.
Yeah.
And managing cash flow is the lifeline of your business.
Yes.
A lot of the time you hear the saying, cash is king.
Yeah.
But cash is not king unless you have a huge amount of it.
Yeah.
Cash flow is king
Yeah.
when it comes to a business. So for me, learning that early on, and you know, because you kind of buy stock and things day to day with the little bits of money that you make.
But you've got to have a backstop.
Yeah, and you had to learn that craft.
Yeah.
Used to joke when Dave was still alive that I think I told you it's the same joke as the Beatles joke, you know, about the drumming.
Yes.
If somebody asked me, are you the best sound engineer in the Eastern Cape? And I said, well, I'm not even the best sound engineer in LineOut. You know, I had guys that were better than me, but my job is to make the business work. And yes, I know a lot about, you know, the technical side of things, but the skill that goes with that is the business skill, and that's the cash flow management and the being able to have that broad overview of the not just the day to day, but the now to 6 months to a year's time, and be able to project that accurately. And often my staff ask me, like, out of several business accounts, I can say exactly to the T that something there is not right, or I wouldn't be involved in the books at all, and I'll see one invoice and I'll say that's incorrect. And they're like, how do you do that? And I say, well, I can't really explain it, but everything is here in my head. The most difficult thing for me initially in business was when the staff component grew, is to get all the information that's here to them so that they can work with it. You know, that communication. So everything was in my head, but nobody knew what was in my head.
The company
so it's so
culture.
difficult for them to help me in the business because they didn't know, they didn't have the information. And that's where systems and stuff came in. But anyway, I digress.
No, but, and if there's a problem in your sound, in your venue with the sound, electricity, the whatever, you're the guy to go to, because you've got this overview of everything in the venue, you know. So if it's electricity and it's 3-phase and we've lights popping all over the place, you know what's going on. Whereas we just watch the lights pop and then we get new ones.
But the thing is, I think the grounding was definitely, I mean, early days, my father is a guy that had a lot of different talents. And besides his trade, he was a master tradesman in what he did. Besides that, he had a lot of skill in electronics. Even to this day, in his mid-80s, he's still building electronic machines and keeps himself busy. Doing things which I think is very healthy at that age to do those kind of things.
Very much so.
But a good thing is he had this garage that looked like a pawn shop, pawn like PAWN.
I was going to say,
let's get it correct.
And lots of these.
No, so it was full of things like motorcycles and spare parts and lots of interesting things, and old audio systems and old computers and all sorts of things. He was interested in many different lines and could do a lot of things really well. And I think that was a good foundation for me to learn things. You know, things that you would learn only in different trades. If you would do those trades, I could learn that at home. And that was a good foundation for general knowledge of a lot of things and to know how things work. And obviously, going into the line that we do now for a living, that kind of technical base helped a lot. But it also gives you a great overview. And when you're an entrepreneur and you have a small business, you're from the sweeper to the director. You have to do everything. So you have to learn quickly. The quicker, the more quickly you could adapt and learn new skills that are helpful and useful in your business, the quicker you can grow and the more cost you save. It's not to say that you should keep doing things yourself always, because there's also a trap there that I see a lot of entrepreneurs make, is that, you know, you think you DIY to save money and that. But in entrepreneurship, one of the best lessons I've learned from one of the guys that I respected a lot, that I worked for when I was a youngster, who was an uber successful entrepreneur,
Who's
also
that?
from Port Elizabeth, a guy by the name of Peter DeBell.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And he's grown some big businesses that are at an international base. And he sort of had an unshakable, rock solid belief, self-belief, and could just plow through anything, any challenge. And I worked in his company, and I was always trying to be clever about how to save money on these big projects we were doing. And the projects were, were large sums of money, and I'm trying to save you at the bottom end of that. And it's like, it's what you're doing is pointless, kind of. And to sum it up for me and to make it clear, he once sat me down and he said, look, it's not about the money you don't save, it's about the money you don't make. And that opened my eyes and my mind to say, okay, well, you can definitely save, but if you're not making more than you're saving, there's no point. There's a point where there's diminishing returns on just saving, trying to save just for the sake of saving. There's a point when you've got to say, okay, well, I've got to forget about saving this little bit because I've got to focus on making this that's more.
Because it's much faster to do, just go through and do it, pay for that and do it.
So it's also a trap to try and DIY too much, but it's a very valuable thing to know everything. Like in my business, I can still be a technician. I can still be behind a desk. I can still do a lot of the technical work. I think most of my staff are much better at those things than I am.
I'm sure they know as well.
Because they do it daily, But I can do a lot of those things, and I can get involved and get my hands stuck, and that gives me the knowledge base to know what's going on in the business, even if I don't, not that involved in every single little item in the daily runnings of things. But entrepreneurs, I think, and myself, I've been there, and entrepreneurs get easily trapped in that space where you're trying to do things yourself to the detriment of scaling a business, because you can only do so much, and it doesn't matter how much you save, you can't save yourself wealthy. You can only make yourself wealthy or sell yourself wealthy.
It's that difficulty of delegating and trusting the delegation. Like, you've got to almost let some mistakes happen, or things that you're not quite happy with. They've got to find their own way.
80% is good enough. It's basically the thing. You can't have it perfect. If you do it yourself, you might have it perfect, but 80% is good enough. You go, the best that somebody else can give you for what you, how can I say, paying them for, is good enough. And you must make the best of that. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah. And so LineOut, starting, did that start, so you sold your last hot dog and
I actually parallel to the food industry businesses, I had a IT company called Servcom.
Okay.
And that was also like a one-man show where I did all the work myself and so on. And it eventually built to a point where I employed, partnered with Emil Kilian, who was my brother-in-law at the time, Rosalind's brother.
Okay, yes.
And we worked together building this, specializing in more industrial IT, more to do with industrial processing plants and industrial automation, basically process control. So supplying IT for that industry. Automotive industry and that kind of thing.
Robotics programs that would run that
but
stuff.
The IT side of it, so the hardware and some of the software, we didn't get into a high level of automation, but we supplied in the user end tier of that. Servcom is still successfully running today. We're still running it today, and it still exists.
So a business that you sold as well there?
Well, at that stage, it was, I wanted to venture into the line-out side of things. And Emil was actually the IT person. He's always been in IT. It's never been a passion of mine. It's something that I studied, but I didn't have that feel for it. He was much more inclined to make a success of that. So he took over the company, and I moved on with LineOut, basically. And that's where LineOut started. There was a cross-pollination between IT and network-based systems and audiovisual as well. So from that, I saw the opportunity, and I thought, okay, well, there's definitely opportunity there. And obviously, I have the passion for the music side of things and the audio side of things.
So the music was pulling you there?
It was, exactly. So eventually, I veered toward that and kind of naturally gravitated towards it. And I didn't know much about the rental industry and the production business, but I knew a lot about sound and audio.
Who was working with you at that? Was that Dave already?
It was just me. No, it
No,
was
only
just
you.
me. No, Dave only came in probably when the business was about 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was me, and I would have a casual freelance help
Yeah.
on occasion.
Gee whiz.
And I started like that with out of my
Setting up-
garage. with
What
no
kind
equipment.
of stuff were you doing in the beginning? I mean, setting up,
The
doing
very
sound as
first,
churches.
yes. The first thing I did was
church.
sell a sound system to a church.
Church, yeah.
Because
yeah.
that's the I knew that space, and
Yeah.
I knew that sphere quite well. I knew how churches operated and what they needed, and that gave me the first kind of inroad into the pro side of things. Teeny Smith was one of the first people that I made contact with when he was at a supplier, and I said I want to do this, and he said,
Billigals.
"Well, we can supply you." So
Yeah.
so we did that. He was with a company that we still deal with today called Audio Show.
Oh, yes. yes, I
and
remember.
that was at that stage.
When
He's now-
Wild and Mars, was that?
well, that company doesn't exist anymore, but they were also one of the suppliers.
Okay,
They were
yes,
taken
yes.
over by another company called Planet World now.
Okay, wow.
JBL and all Shure,
Yes.
and that we still buy stuff from them.
Sure.
It started with installations, but then I had a friend who was in a church. He was involved. He was a music leader in a church, a Dutch Reformed church, Hoogland in Charlotte. His name was Petrus May. He might be watching tonight. Hello, Petrus, if you
I
are.
think we've done a gig there with Evan and Child. I
So
think
yes.
Yeah?
So they booked Elvis Blue just after he won Idols,
Okay.
and they needed some help with with getting him the equipment for his rider. I didn't have any equipment, but I begged, stealed, and borrowed, and asked friends for advice and so on. And I put a system together with a little bit of lighting and some backline, and we did the gig. And I think
Survived.
I think him and his band were very skeptical about this little company trying this.
Who did sound for you?
I did.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And the event ran with all this borrowed equipment.
Yes.
But with it being a great success, and the band came off and said, "Wow, that was really surprisingly good."
Yeah.
And they walked off and they all shook my hand, and I thought to myself, wow,
That's it.
I can do this.
Can do this stuff.
And that kind of set the ball in motion for the production side of things. And I started buying gear slowly, getting involved in the National Arts Festival. And
the Arts Festival is another story, because you've been involved in that for many years.
15 years now.
So-
16 years this year.
So, gee whiz. So and that, I seem to remember those Ramsa systems they used to have.
They still have a lot of those.
Do they?
And I keep them alive because they're so
Wow.
good.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
Those little Ramsa cabs that they used to
We have
for
two of those 8 inches in my warehouse.
8 inches. So they're 8
Small
inches.
little 8 inches that we kept. Dave salvaged them out of a church.
Yeah.
And we kept them because
We knew
it's so nostalgic. You know,
Yes.
dealing with these things from the 80s that you've loved for so many years to use in production. You know?
I presume Standard Bank bought all of those when they started the sponsorship, or was it even before
I'm not
then?
sure. I'm not sure. That
Five
was
Roses
before my
Festival.
involvement. That's the first one. Yeah.
Five Roses was the first.
So the festival last year, I think, was 50 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I turned 50 last year, and it was our 15th year.
That's
It
incredible.
was a mammoth year, yeah.
So it's 50, then it started 70, 75, 74, 75.
That's how old it was.
So I started going to the festival probably like 83, 82, 83, somewhere around there. We started going, and we went every single year. Now every year there was a Ramses systems.
There must be at least about 22 or 24 of those boxes that are still working.
Still left.
And they still sound very good. There are still amplifiers there from the 80s that are still working. And my team has to make them work.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
in the smaller venues.
They're not powered speakers.
No, old passive with
passives.
big, old, heavy amplifiers and that. But it's still, it was a quality product then, and it still sounds good today. And, budgets kind of drive you to make use of whatever you've got.
Yeah.
You can't be picky in certain spaces because that's what you have, and that makes it affordable to put up those venues, you know. And so we very involved with maintaining those systems as part of our service to the festival. And we've kept a lot of those things alive for many, many years. Also just because they do the work and they function still, and they're still good enough to use in a lot of the venues.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that the festival got so many different venues. I mean, you guys do all those venues.
Well, we're responsible for sound in all of the venues, or anything that makes a noise, whether it be a fringe venue, a main venue, or an art exhibition, or some sort of audiovisual installation.
Okay.
Some of it's very, very challenging, very technical. Some of it's very basic, obviously, just basic theatre style, 2 speakers with lighting. Yeah. So there is a lighting team that takes care of the lighting. We provide some of the lighting. And we provide most of the venues with sound, most of the bigger venues. And then the Arts Festival have their own inventory that gets distributed every year to certain venues. And we make sure that those systems also get to those venues and are set up and are working, and we support the technicians. The Arts Festival is a big platform for new technicians to learn their craft as well and to hone their skills. So it's also an incubator for not just the arts, but also for technicians that come in. So a very important base.
So there's a
South
company
Africa.
there that runs that as well. Is that with their inventory, their stock there?
Well, we run their stock from a sound perspective.
Okay.
The Arts Festival have 2 teams. We head up the sound team, and there's a lighting team. Those are the 2 technical teams, and the lighting team takes care of everything that's lighting, and we take care of anything that has to do with sound and audiovisual.
It's just massive.
It's very big. Over 100 technicians a year that's involved there. And the Arts Festival manages all that and brings in all those technicians. A lot of them junior technicians that are still coming up in the ranks, and then a lot of them very senior guys that have been around for many years. And so there's a nice handover of skill, to the younger generation.
Fantastic.
It's a very, very important incubator for skill in the arts and production field. For the whole country. There are students from WITS that do their final year that come down there to do practical. Some of them have come to LineOut and then they do practical before they go to Arts Festival.
So you do your bit as well for that.
Well, I think it's a labor of love at this stage. It's something that helped us shape who we are initially, and now it's our time. We're very involved. We're part of the furniture there. And it's a lot of very, very hard work and a lot of sacrifice, but we love doing it. It's definitely serves as a molding tool for companies. And we were definitely, a lot of what I learned personally was learned from doing productions at the Arts Festival. Especially honing the theatre side of things, the more art side of things. You could do a corporate event at a corporate venue, and it's a certain way, and it's a certain function, or a certain let's call it protocol that happens there. And then you walk into a theatre, and it's a different thing.
Spots on there, lights on this, everything is.
So although they're both productions, they're both very different in character and style. And so we definitely got a lot of our foundation shaped by our involvement in the Arts Festival, which I'm very, very grateful for.
Well, I was watching Robin Williams' new play there with Rainmaker, with Frankie doing his thing, and at the end they had rain. Actually, had rain in the inside, and I thought, my God, that's going.
What a challenge! And those challenges is what you have to deal with as a production team.
Hey, how do you get? I'm just thinking, what about the plugs? The plugs.
Those challenges are real. I can
no,
tell you
no. But I mean, Robin's also amazing, So just before we get to the getting to know you questions, I think give just an overview of what LineOut does for the guys out there as well. And I mean, you do streaming as well. I know that
COVID got us into live streaming because we were with lockdown, we didn't know what was happening.
No, for sure.
I kept all my staff going. I wanted to make sure that that the team stays intact because we didn't know where we were going or what we were doing, but I wasn't going to try and get rid of anybody. So my instruction to my people were like, you're at home now, but you're getting paid, so learn as much as you can about anything that has to do with an online event. We didn't know it was called on webinars or streaming or anything like that. I just knew that it probably will have to go online, which was the case. And we learned as much as we can. And then we got into it very early in COVID, started buying cameras and things like that, and getting into streaming. Also turned one of the warehouses into a makeshift studio with a big stage built inside the warehouse. We draped it. We bought production cameras, and built a set where we could facilitate the communication for our corporate clients.
Yes.
The big nationals, they still needed to reach their audience.
Yes.
And I needed to make a way for that to happen. We couldn't go out and do the below the line marketing
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
We couldn't do any kind of activations. We couldn't reach physical audiences. So we had to do it virtually. And we created the facility for that. Now it didn't pay all the bills, but it was something that kept us busy, and it also kept us connected with our clients
And gave you hope as well, you know, at that time.
And through that, it opened doors to agencies, which we later got. We became sole agents in the Eastern Cape for a number of products that were aimed at live streaming.
Yeah.
And we honed our skills over those years. And the first, say, 2 years of when the lockdown happened and post the lockdown.
Yeah.
And then subsequently, streaming is now kind of a norm. I mean, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah. So, Gino Spot.
And Gino Spot, like you say now yourself, also it's sort of were born out of a need from COVID. To connect to your audience.
For sure.
So I'm
Dave helped me a lot with this as well. I'd phone him every now and again. Him and Wobbs.
Yes,
as well.
yes.
Brennan Samuels.
Yeah, also a long history there.
Yeah, amazing. And because the sound community in PE is quite small, you know.
We all know each other, and we know we work together, and we try and keep the market to ourselves here and not hand it out to other provinces.
Yes, the Joburgens.
Although we are also now a Joburg company.
Yes. Now tell me about that too, because you've expanded out to Joburg. I know Yaku Hall is up there.
Yes.
Also a monster bass player.
Also played for Centrestage.
Also played with us. Did the ABBA show.
We're a very resourceful company.
Amazing.
So Yaku started in LineOut as a technician and worked his way up to become the Port Elizabeth project manager, the senior project manager in Port Elizabeth. And at a certain stage, the opening was there for him to move to Johannesburg, and he did so willingly. And he loves it up there.
It's very strange for people just to move up to Joburg. You know?
Especially if they love the ocean.
Yes.
But he's doing well there, and he loves it there. So he bought a house, so he's clearly there to stay.
Has he got a woman there now?
I don't know. Yaku, have you got a woman there? We need to look in that camera. But Joburg was also born out of, COVID gave us quite a scare.
Yeah.
And we were hemorrhaging money for 2 years.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had the reserves to keep us going.
Wow.
And we had made the plans as well with all sorts of different avenues. I started a signage company called Insignia, which I also sold later, to keep guys busy and all sort of creative accounting to make sure that the books balance at the end of the day and you can still get through, But it was a tough time, not denying anything about that, but we managed to make it through.
Yeah.
But I realized then that, there's a limited economy here.
Yeah.
And I never blame the economy for anywhere that I'm at. I believe that you shouldn't use the economy as an excuse.
Find the right market.
You must find the need and solve that need and monetize it, For me, it was a thing of just throwing the net a little bit wider and starting to pull cash flows from a different pool of a different financial pool. Yeah. And obviously the market is much bigger in Gauteng. There's a lot of competition there as well. And that sort of seed was planted when some of our national clients asked us to do work there on a more regular basis.
Okay.
And eventually we realized, it's now feasible to open an office and actually offset those costs against what it would have cost us to do the work there,
of course,
from PE. So it was a logical next step.
Word of mouth. It's the next one. You don't do a good job here, the next one wants you, the next one wants you.
And in Joburg, the same thing. There, it's literally word of mouth.
And then every year, it's like tick a box. Okay, well, Ronnie knows what he's doing. Let's just do it.
Yeah, very.
Why do you want to take a risk on going on somebody that doesn't know what they do?
I don't know who said this, and I definitely don't claim it's mine, but somewhere I heard that the secret to business is making new customers and keeping them.
Yes, keeping them. Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's that word of mouth, and if you do a good job, you're in, and you're reliable.
Yeah, I think,
and you
your ethics have to be in place, and your integrity has to be intact. Then you can carry
and also
on.
you don't lose your rag a lot. You know, I've actually never, don't think I've ever seen you lose your rag completely. So
No, I've gotten the emotions under control in the last years. You know?
because it's like
Sign of maturity.
when stuff goes wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm pretty
people
calm,
can lose it.
I'm pretty calm
you know,
when it comes to that. It doesn't mean I don't get upset. I definitely do, and I
Yes.
have lost my cool, like anybody.
Yeah.
But I've realized that, you know, sometimes you can't trust your emotions, and you've got to keep a level head and look at the bigger picture a lot of the time. If you can learn that skill as well, because you know, business is up and down, and you're in a volatile market dealing with something that's sporadic. If you tie your emotions to that and those outcomes, it's going to be a roller coaster.
It's going to be the next day. The next day is going to be another one. Yeah.
So early business for me was very hard because my emotions were really tied to whatever that cash up read on the end of the day.
Bloody chips.
So I had to divorce myself from that kind of link because you had to stay emotionally level despite what things may come, you know. And it's very hard. It gets harder and harder because, you know, the bigger the business, the more negative it can go into that overdraft in the wrong times and so forth. So I've had to learn to manage that also just for my own sanity and stress levels, you know, to try and keep the emotions intact. No matter what the external conditions. It's a hard thing to learn. I definitely can't claim to have mastered it, but I'm definitely much better than I was in my early days in business.
Okay. Well, I think it's just about time for our getting to know you question. We'll hit a couple more while we're going, but getting to know you time. Let's do it.
To know you, getting to know all about you.
Okay, so we're going to go with Gary's giving me some as well here, so we're going to go with the biggest shows you've ever done.
I've done some festivals where there's been up to 18,000 people over the weekend. Over a weekend, I think biggest shows. I would rather say biggest artists that I've done. Biggest for me, the biggest shows would be the late Yuma Sakela.
Oh wow!
We've done their full band, which is a huge experience.
Massive.
For me personally, one of the biggest experiences at a show, and that's why I'm going to say it's the biggest show.
Yeah.
Was the first time that I had the opportunity to provide sound for the main theatre at Guy Butler. Was the first time I did the show for Mango Groove.
Oh wow!
And it was a massive show.
Where the Guy Butler's at Grahamstown?
Yeah, that's the main theatre of the National the Monument.
Yes, the Monument
Grahamstown
Theatre.
Monument.
Okay.
And I think it was 2012. It's my first time to put a big system in Guy Butler Theatre. I provided the sound in the back line, and Mango Groove was playing. And standing at the back of the theatre now, this is the first time I do something of this level with this type of artist. This level artist. I mean, we grew up with that music. And to hear like the floor toms and the toms going on Superstar, you know. Special star, not superstar, special star. So as soon as those drums hit and that sound system, you could feel it. And we really went out of our way to do a great job. And hearing that and experiencing that for yourself, music that you grew up with for the first time, thinking, we did this. That was, so for me,
was it Peter Cohen? Is it Peter Cohen?
It was Neil Ettridge.
Neil Ettridge.
Neil Ettridge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, on that show, it was Neil Ettridge.
Yeah, I know that
phenomenal experience. So not the biggest show in numbers, but the biggest show for me as a you know, a stake in the ground saying,
hey, this is something
I did
good.
This, you know,
this is something big. Oh man, that is very cool. And I'm just having a look to see if there's anything we've missed out here. I know we've spoken about your bass playing. Latest Harvest show he's talking about.
We recently, the week before, 14th of May, we did an event at the stadium, at the cricket stadium for CRC, the church, Christian Revival Church, for Pastor Ad Boshoff and Pastor Keegan Fredericks here in PE. And I think they catered for about 10,000 people. I don't know how many thousand were in the stadium, but we catered from a AV perspective we also was the maiden run of our new lighting rig.
You've got a new lighting rig. You went overseas.
Yeah, we went to Miami to go to visit Chauvet.
Chauvet, the lighting, lighting company.
They're massive in America. not so well known in South Africa. I mean, they are very well known in South Africa, but they're making serious strides now in the lighting industry. And so we've been using their fixtures for about 10 years, and they had a new range out we went to go and see, and we loved what we saw, and we purchased. and it showed. I mean,
somebody
great.
Stop me.
Yeah, no.
Wow, so it really worked. I mean, I see really saying about this really like bright, flippin' hectic lights that you bought. What
these were some of the Chauvet lights.
Okay,
They're
so
really like proper to an outdoors level.
Wow.
Very impressive fixtures. That really that we love. And my lighting team definitely loves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're so protective that they only take them out on special occasions. which is unheard of in my game.
It's a good thing as well, because as we know, lights can blow.
Yeah, well, or get wet or whatever.
Yeah, I know. Okay, your favorite band, other than Eminent Child,
Dave Matthews.
Dave Matthews
Band, yeah.
Oh, come on, Ronnie! You're just so disappointing. That drummer, he's
literally one of my favorite drummers as well.
Carter Bruford.
You're gonna tell me that he's too busy and all that. The same.
He's got so many chops, he just can't keep up.
No,
it's just like chops.
It's very seldom that you hear a drummer and you know exactly who he is. Without seeing.
I can hear it immediately. It's because
I love Dave.
1,000 notes a minute. Go on, ask Kevin. What do you think, Kevin? Tell me now, honestly. Do you rather go for the full rud, AC/DC?
I love that as well. Good drummer is a good drummer.
You just said God is your favorite now. Now you're backpedaling now. You sound like Donald Trump.
He's still my favorite. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. It's got so most amazing, beautiful.
No, I really enjoy Dave Matthews' music. Yeah. I think it's very unique, and also it's seldom that you get a band like that fronted with an acoustic guitar. And he's Anyway,
you're right. Acoustic guitar. No, I get it. I mean, and Dave Matthews is incredible.
Unique, yeah.
I'm a simple
four to the floor kind of guy.
Simple 4 on the floor. That's what I need. Just don't go too hectic with it. All right. Your 3 favorite TV series. What are you into?
Would it be like Netflix series? Would it count that as well?
Yes, TV series.
I'd have to say Californication.
Okay.
And then the Kaminsky Method was incredible. Breaking Bad, Ozark. Are we talking about things current or?
I'm sorry, the first one that I saw was Ozark. That was it, but it was like drug stuff. It was hectic.
Yeah, it was very raw and real. Breaking Bad as well. I didn't even think I would like it, but I ended up binge watching it. and I'm not a binge watcher.
Were you one of the guys like me who said like, I don't feel like watching because everybody's watching it?
I think I just ran out of options because those days were just still series on a hard drive that you copied from a friend. So it was by a lack of other options.
Kevin Carter has more chops than a bride. Exactly. That's exactly what I said. He's got too many chops. Too many. I see Fernando's posting. He's posting YouTube links there. I don't know what that is. No. Fernando is another drummer there. Fernando, hello, Fernando. Epi's brother, Fernando Angeli. And there we Anthony Just. How's it, man? Loving the chat with Ronnie and Gino. The technical setup has always fascinated me. It is. And he's a muso as well. I know he's a Robin Auld fan, and I'm sure he's probably jammed with him as well.
Yeah, Robin Auld, also lovely musician.
Yeah,
and lots of jewels with them.
So whenever I think of Cape Town, I think of Anthony, but he's he's still in Spain, I think. Anthony, he's in Spain at the moment.
Español.
Okay, so best way to decompress. What do you do to like decompress? Because I don't see you decompressing. That's the one thing I was going to actually say to you. That you need to find a thing to get away from all that stuff.
I go to that square box and I hit that racquetball as hard as I can for as long as I can.
Square? Oh, you mean
racquetball? Yeah. Well, I play racquetball now because I'm a little bit heavy for squash.
Okay, with a bigger ball.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's good at Lawn Park still. What?
Yeah. So squash or racquetball, that's my go-to. It's just because
that's like just short.
I know, but it's enough to, and it's intense. But I need to move. You know, I need to move and I need to decompress or whatever.
When you go, didn't you go away for a holiday? Or, I'm
I think
sure Aneska's or I can feel your pain, Aneska.
Don't encourage it. So yeah, I think it would be very good to go away, but like you said, it's very hard.
You think it will be very good to go away, but I've never done it yet.
It's, you know, I've built a life that I don't need a holiday from. You know, so
You do enjoy it.
I really love what I do, and I don't begrudge going to work or doing things.
So you're not a
for-
traveler.
I like traveling.
Have you been overseas? Have you been?
Well, recently I was just in Miami.
Oh yeah, well, but that was work. That's work.
It's a bit of work and pleasure. You know, they took us to a fake crocodile in the Everglades and pretended like this is amazing. Alligators, alligators.
Okay.
We ate a stone crab and we were all over. Nothing
Was it
special.
the tourist?
Well,
the
tourist
tourist
traps,
thing?
yeah. Listen, I can tell you one thing is that when you come back to South Africa, you really appreciate the quality of our food. I can tell you
Dit
that.
klink nou soos 'n boertjie nou.
Regtig met my chops.
My chops, hy doen sy eie chops.
No, it's. I sincerely appreciate the food in South Africa. I promise you.
Well, there we go. He built a life he doesn't need all that for. He says, hey, jinx. He says jinx. I see jinx. Say jinx. There we go. Yeah, Buzz jinx. What's it? Jinx. I haven't heard somebody say jinx for ages.
Giving your age away there.
Yeah. No, I think you need to separate yourself.
I'll work
from
on
the
that.
world.
I'll work
Ronnie,
on that. I promise.
We've got to.
You know, do a show, then I can escape.
Maybe we must do that. We go
Do a show, then
go
I have
do
an
a show.
excuse.
We'll go do it at the somewhere away.
At the Guild.
Go at the Guild or the brewery. The Guild was fantastic fun. There's a funny story at the Guild. Yeah.
Just don't get me thrown out of my hotel room again, you know?
We all went to his hotel room, and then the guy, the security guy came in. Can you still went to the doors, open the doors? The security says, Upio Ronnie. Where's Ronnie? Because the name that was signed in the room.
Yeah,
so he got into cuck for us making a noise.
Yeah, no, typically, I almost got arrested because you guys are making noise on the street.
Where's Ronnie?
I'm almost asleep, but I get arrested, you know?
He wasn't making
Anyway.
a noise. Oh my word.
But it was fun times, and if it means, you see, it's up to you now to get me to do.
We're gonna do another show.
Put a show together.
We'll put one together. We got to do it, and decompress because I think you got to step away completely every now and
No,
again.
it's necessary. It's necessary. It's something that I find hard to do. That's something I can work on.
Leave it to Yaku and Vickers and the guys.
Darren.
Darren, there's your man there as well. Yeah. Okay. What's the coolest thing in the world?
Humility.
You reckon?
I think so.
Humility.
I think.
I got you.
Yeah, I think. Not weakness, but meekness. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
I like
like
people
that.
who are grounded. I think that's one of the coolest
Not too much
things,
wow.
Yeah, I like people that are grounded. You know, and we can all have a lot of fluff about us, but it's people who are grounded are usually people who have substance, and I like that. I think that's very cool.
But not like a confidence. You
No,
gotta
no,
still be
that's-
confident.
Yeah,
But-
no,
but-
absolutely.
But you don't be.
Yeah, I think
that's
that's, maybe I'm thinking too deep now. What it's the question about cool?
Oh yeah, well it could be. It's up to you. That's what else. Coolness.
Yes, so these are hard questions.
No, it's quite all right. I don't know where I found these now, but they're pretty good.
You brought me out on the one question.
Coolness on music. What's your
If we had to say that, I think cool would be. This is hard. I really have to think about it.
No, I like that. Humility is a good one because that it says a lot about who you are as well, you know, and you don't like too much windgat, you know.
Unsubstantiated.
And cool is it works into that because as a muso, I know that musos can talk whatever they like. They can talk big. They can get behind the drums, get behind the guitar. You know, that's cool.
I also think a high level of skill for me is cool.
Yeah.
Because that shows that you would have to have put in the time and the graft and the grit. we live in an instant society where everything has to happen instantly, and that,
Gratification.
which is something that I see now going back to the music shop is yeah, Tara. It's good to see I'm not the only one that really had to think about these getting to know you questions. Thanks, Tara, for just standing up there for us. So it's what was my answer again? I was going to go back.
you put you off now. It's so cool with humility, with music and the skills.
Oh no, I was saying about
skills.
the instant society
Yes.
is that when we look at, again, we're coming back to the music thing. The reason why we struggle to sell music instruments globally is because the barrier to entry is high.
Yeah.
You can't just get on a set of drums and play well.
Yeah.
You have to put in the time. You can't just get, and it's the same with fitness. It's something you can't buy. It's something that doesn't happen instantly and so on. So somebody that's advanced to a high level of anything, to me, is pretty cool because it means that you would have had to put in the time and the effort and grind against maybe your own lack of will or anything. You had to apply the discipline or whatever. So that's cool.
I get it.
Yeah.
So the commitment as well. Like you say.
So a high level of highly skillful people.
What's Kevin say? Can't Centrestage do a Dave Matthews show? No. Partly for Dave O and my American cousin Dave Matthijs. Is Dave? Does he like Dave? Is obviously.
We'll have
Dave.
to do that, but I don't know who can sing like
Yeah.
Dave Matthews.
You know, Dave Matthews. And you know who could do it is Wayne Callis. He would love
Ronnie,
that
what's
stuff.
your ultimate band if you would jam with, if you could choose?
Yeah. We'd go for Dave Matthews. That would be quite tough.
Dave Matthews would be, but that's a big band.
Yeah.
It's very hard. But yeah, that would probably be one of them.
Yeah.
I think it'd be lekker to jam with somebody like Sting. Must have been incredibly interesting.
I could, when I saw Ian Herman on the stage with Sting, I was like, oh man, I think I could do this. I'd do it. But I mean, he's played with the best. He's played with Vinnie Colaiuta, Manu Katché. I mean, these are like drummers that are phenomenal. Just unbelievable. So the ultimate band to play with, probably Sting. Police.
That would be amazing. There's so many great bands out there. There's some new guys on the block. Cardinal Black is somebody new that I've seen. Guys should go and check them out. It's really, really good. Chris Buck is the guitarist. Very, very smooth guy on the guitar. Real smooth player.
Is it a local band?
No. These are, I think they're UK based.
Okay. Chris Bucker.
Chris Buck is the guitarist.
Oh, Buck. Chris, his name's Buck in his guitar. I think it's an invented name. It's an invented one. Okay, the strangest rumor that you've ever heard about yourself. Maybe Nessie can help us with this one as well.
Strangest rumor I've heard about
about yourself. I don't know if there isn't one that you can just say pass.
No, it's a pass. Yeah, no,
all right.
It's the best for the audience.
The best gift you've ever received. We can expand it to say the best thing you've ever bought for yourself.
No, the best gift I think I've ever. I bought a music shop. That's the best gift I ever bought myself. An excuse to buy more. The best gift was at my 30th birthday. I received a Taylor guitar. Which I still have today.
Is the travel one?
Or no. I'm talking about a real deal C314 concert Taylor. I got for my 50th birthday. I've still got it, yeah. And
never let us play it. You never bring it.
Never
brings it out.
You won't touch it.
Anybody touch it. It's like that Okie with the soccer ball where he says, "No, my mom says you can't play with my soccer ball. Playing. Just me and my friend can play. Only you can't play with my mom because my mom said
you can't play.
My mom said you can't play with my Taylor guitar.
No, my mom and my dad, my whole family, and the police
and your dog." No. Okay. What's something you don't want to be doing in 10 years?
I have to be awake till 1 o'clock the morning striking.
Yeah, exactly.
Striking gear.
We still do. Yeah, still do.
Maybe I'll get out of that.
I don't know if we ever shake that. I mean,
and also, I think that's one thing, and I think the other thing is not eat so much junk food. I'm a junk food junkie, I'll admit
Yeah,
it, because
yeah.
I've had food on demand for years, you know. It's hard to break those habits.
Okay, 2 more questions. Let's just do this. Maybe this one. A celebrity crush. First celebrity crush.
Angelina Jolie.
Oh, really?
Oh, did I say that out loud? Yeah. I think, yeah.
Well, maybe she could have adopted you. I think she's
Hey,
old
she
enough.
could-
She adopts lots of babies, I believe. Your most nostalgic memory?
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
For this friend of mine, Rion,
Yeah.
I made a video for his 50th birthday, which was early in the month.
Oh, wow.
And we went to all the places where we used to play with the old Super Springbok rugby ball,
Yeah.
and where we worked at Shoe City, and we
Oh,
bought,
you work at Shoe City? You
um,
work at Shoe City? Yeah, that's a couple of jobs you had.
easily the one at Shoe City. And we used to run across we think now that those weren't great days, but looking back, then we didn't think those were great days. But looking back now, they were. And it was the friendship and the community and
Gezelligheid.
and just the camaraderie of both having really shit jobs.
You are a social person. You enjoy people.
Yeah, I do. And so I have times of isolation where I need to decompress.
Yeah.
And then I've got to be, sort of have spent some time in solitude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy people.
Spiritual?
Yeah, I'd say I was very involved in church for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think about 2010, I had a crisis of faith, and I've had to say to myself, is this, I think I got involved in church for the acceptance and the affirmation, and I said the right things because that got me more acceptance and more affirmation. But at a certain point, I had to be honest with myself and say, look, if you're not here completely for the faith portion of that, you've got to be honest with the people around you as well and say. And so I kind of took a step back, but I won't say I'm not a believer.
Yeah.
But if I had to label it, I would probably say I'm an agnostic theist or a deist. In other words, I do believe, but I don't necessarily, interpret everything the way that the general church does today.
Yeah, sure.
And that might be a struggle for a lot of people. But that was my finding. After about, say, 17 years of intensely being involved in church.
All right, okay.
Yeah. But I still have a lot of respect for everything they do, and I'm still
yeah.
involved in certain ways, and I still provide services to them and so on. And I would never talk anybody out of their own faith, or resist them against anything of faith. But I think I've found kind of my own way and my own truth.
I think I expected that answer from you because you are an organized person. So you and you're an honest person. Like you what you see is what you get with you. You're not. There's no underlying politics, whatever.
There's no agenda.
Yeah, there's no agenda there. It's like you say
take it or leave it.
You say it how it is.
Yeah.
To your detriment sometimes, you think?
Probably, definitely. I think from my early days, I've had an issue with somebody trying to exert some type of authority on me.
Yeah.
I've never taken to that, and
against
it's. I naturally kick against it. I don't know why. I don't know what the reason is, and that was that's why it was much better for me to have my own business than to have to work for somebody.
Yes.
I needed the freedom to be productive. I couldn't. I worked well with a team now. I think it's much better now than it was in my early days. And that's also just working through things and dealing with yourself, becoming emotionally a little bit more mature and more emotionally intelligent, and also being in control of emotions. There, I think that's a big thing we have to learn over the course of our lives, and never give up trying to master those things. I think that's actually the spiritual journey you should be on. But I had a problem with if you approach me and ask me, I will break my back for you. But somebody that tries to assert some sort of toxic authority on me was a dead put off.
Manipulation.
And immediately I would kick and rebel against that. So I've just got to be aware that it's not a trigger, and that it's actually that I'm resisting something that's not good for me, but it's It shouldn't be just a trigger, that sets me off on that tangent.
Yeah.
So it's you've got to be keenly self-aware to navigate through those waters.
Have you done a lot of? I mean, you strike me as a person who have done a lot of self-analysis.
Yeah, I struggled with self-esteem when I was younger. So when I was at school and that, and in my early days, my teens, finding identity was very hard, and also, which I don't think is novel to anybody.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go through that.
Well, brothers, I mean, that's going to be,
Yeah, but I didn't have natural confidence. I was always trying to fit in and find identity and find some sort of affirmation and find acceptance and so on. So it was a hard task, and that often led to times when I was pretty down. Even bordering on saying that I was depressed a lot of the time when I was younger. Okay. And I had to dig myself out of that, and I did that through various means, which I found very helpful. I started reading books on, and through various avenues, I kind of absorbed a lot of information and chewed the meat and spit out the bones, kind of thing, and kept what was valuable to me. And then based on that, kept developing my self-awareness and started looking at what triggers me and why do I feel a certain way and where does it come from, and analyzing, and a lot of self-analysis, a lot of self-reflection. And that's helped me tremendously. I think that's a big reason why I could be successful later in life. Yeah. I struggled very much earlier in life, couldn't make success of anything. I mean, I had little businesses and so on and that, but never something spectacular. Yeah. I knew then that I was my own way. And it would only be through a real change in mindset that I would be able to progress or get, and still to today, I realize that it's literally only my own mindset that will get me back. Yeah. So I'm continuously trying to expand that and to, like you would go to a gym and flex and work on a muscle to make it stronger and stronger. It's the same thing for me where, I was operating from something that I think the psychologists like to call a internal locus of control and external locus of control. In other words, I was very much feeding off the external stimuli, off the external things that I received, and kind of shaped what you thought about yourself and your own identity based on what you think other people were thinking of you. Yes. So you give all your power away, and everything you do is dependent on what other people think. And then you have no personal power. Yeah. And I've had to kind of claw that back and get to a point where I say, okay, it matters more what I think of me and less what other people think of me. Yeah. I've had to get that balance of power correct. And now you're a little bit more resilient because people might not have a great opinion of you, but that's more reflection on them than you. Yes. And you shift from operating from that external locus of control to an internal locus of control where you are in charge of your emotion. You realize that everything happens to you because of choices you've made, regardless of how you might think it's external. Yeah. And once you accept that and you take ownership of that, suddenly things change in your life because you realize, oh, well, if I change my choices, I can change my life. If I change my thinking, I can change my life. I'm not blaming other people anymore. I'm not saying it's this really shit boss that I had that's now was the reason, or it's really this person or that person. Take the excuses out of it, strip yourself down to a point where you have to face yourself. And that's not lacquer. It's not lacquer to face yourself. And so I love things like stupid things like squash that later in my life, I discovered that, something that I thought I was really good at, I actually sucked at. And it was a hard thing to face. And I went through these challenges where it's such a stupid game. Why can't I just be better? And it's because you had to go through the grind of getting fit and you had to go through learning the skill and so on. Of course, and I kept losing and losing and losing, and I would try and make it up the leagues. And this is late in my life. I'm talking mid-30s, late 30s. So you think that you've developed a little bit, but this thing just knocks you down every week, and I walk away despondent and I lose and I can't believe it. These 67-year-old bullies are clapping me on the court and I can't. And a wise elderly gentleman who was at the top ranks for many, many years said to me, you have to lose before you can win. After the second time he beat me in about 20 games. And I was so despondent. And it was such a good lesson. So those little lessons you've got to take in, even in simple things that are not core to your daily income or your daily vocation. Even these things on the fringe and the periphery could actually teach you valuable lessons about yourself. And if you're just open to them, you could discover a reality of yourself that you might never even have looked at. I couldn't stand to lose, and I didn't know that, you know. And then I realized, okay, it's not so bad to lose as long as you're progressing. So anyway,
learn something about it.
Learn something about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I see you as a motivational speaker as well. You're right, you are actually, and I see you as a problem solver. So in the whole format, it's like a problem solver in whatever you do as well, but a problem solver for yourself as well. You know, you try
I think
solve your own things.
Absolutely. I think so many things are internal, and so many things you actually have access to solve.
Yeah.
But you look for some answer externally in that, and it never comes because you know, your power personally doesn't lie outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And so I've had quite a tough journey clawing my way out of that, and it took long, 15 years maybe before I started seeing results. And if I can help anybody not have to spend 15 years to do that, and I can plant a seed, I like to do that. My own staff as well. You'll see all of them. They love to come to work because I motivate them, and I keep engaging in them in a way that makes them feel, I believe, and they can tell me if I'm wrong, but what I believe really shapes them and gives them the opportunity to learn and not have to do it the way I did it, where it's like a 15-year journey to get to yourself, you know. If you could just watch somebody else or take somebody else's input, maybe there's a shortcut for you where you don't have to go through all of that. And where I can impart it and where I can sow those seeds and help, there I do, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, and it can happen in any, and this is the thing that goes back to the church thing, where people ask you, you know, but are you going to church or not going to church? And I often say to them, but I can affect people, it doesn't matter where I am. You know, and whether I'm part of the church or in the church or not, I think if you're true to yourself, and if you really for the development of somebody else,
bringing something positive,
then you could do the good work anywhere you are. You know, so that was kind of my outlook. Is that you know, wherever I am, I think practically through business, it gives me an opportunity to take people. I mean, I've taken people from the Transkei who've never spoken a decent word of English in their life, and you've met Ino. A good story. He's probably watching now. I mean, legend. That guy started as a gardener, and today he's a top technician. He's eaten at the best restaurants in the country with me. He knows how to. It's a guy who's never been in a McDonald's when he came to PE, and now you can take him to the coachman and he'll order a medium rare steak with escargot and whatever. And whatever. And the reason for that is because I invested in him. And he's very valuable to me because of his work ethic. So anyway, I digress.
I appreciate it. But also the staff, and it's good to have like some of your skills in that company. So when there's no situation that you can't solve a problem, or at least attack that problem and get us, you know, get it done in a confident manner, you know. So
I think if you see something, nothing is insurmountable. If you look at Tempo now, we've looked at the figures today, and they're doing 100% better in the first month than they did in their best month in the last year.
Wow.
A lot of that has to do with the move. A lot of it has to do with access to obviously funding and obviously new stock and all those kind of things. But I believe it's a mindset shift that I could facilitate in Dion and Dylan, and they can testify to that if I'm right or wrong. But that mindset shift makes things change. You know, for things to be better, you have to be better.
That hope and that thing that all of a sudden it's like, hey, okay, let's do this. We in. This is and it's going to be the best time. It's going to be a golden time for them. Absolutely. Let's just have a quick quiz at the last few comments before we go. Anthony, such a great and varied, inspiring conversation, guys. Thank you much for Sunny Maloka. That's where he is. I told you.
Love you.
Fantastic. And Avalon says a motivational speaker. I think you should just start with a bit of motivation there. You've got a really good insight.
Just book me. I'll just contact my agent.
I will do it. You'll book
the number will be on the screen shortly.
Centrestage. We'll do it.
Philippa, will you be my agent?
But Ronnie, I don't know, should we do a competition? Phil, can we do it? We're going to do the competition. So you guys online now, we're going to give away a case of Fitch and Leeds.
Lovely stuff, by the way.
Yeah, we're good. We got some some goeters here. And yeah, we're going to do if you got it going there, you got it going. We'll be able to share the screen. Let's see. There we go. The giveaway tool. Do it. Pull up those things and draw. Do the draw. There we go. It says let's see who's going to win the Fish and Leads. The case in Fish and Leads can be posted to you as long as it's not Anthony, because he's in Mallorca. Oh, Philip, no. Well, Philip's in Canada, but Philip, you can choose somebody, and as long as you give us the address, you can choose it, and we can send it to your friend in South Africa. We'll do it for you, no problem, Philip. And Philip's been on long enough without winning that he deserves to win a case of Fish and Leads. Well done, Philip. So Wendy will get hold of you, and you can just give us somebody in South Africa, and then you can come and have a dop with us when you get out here from Canada. So thank you, Ronnie. Been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Be on board.
It was a joy.
An inspiring talk, fantastic talk. One of our best shows. I think it's been one of our best ones. Fantastic.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
And thank you to all of you for joining us. Thank you to Fitch and Leeds, and thank you to Amobia.
Thank you to our producer.
And our producer, Philippa. Yes. And we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Relax, sit down. Coming out of PE town. One drink, find a shot. Never mind your liver. Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Have a Gino shot.
Gino's shot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Relax, sit down. Coming out of PE